guy like DeMar who can go on a run like that the fourth quarter where you're playing back and forth and he can just take over and no matter how many defenses they throw at him, he can carry you through a long stretch.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing because it's not only the ability to score at the level he does, it's the IQ. He generated a lot of offense. Clearly they after a period of time in the last maybe 4 or 5 minutes, they decided to trap him, try to get the ball out of his hands. But he's like not really forcing anything. He's making the right play. And the passes that he did make, created closeout situations for us. And we got to the free throw line a couple of times and he created an open three for Kobe. So that's the thing. It's not only the scoring piece, which is absolutely incredible what he does. The other piece of it is just his basketball IQ, his experience, how savvy he is. And then him basically making basketball plays. But you could just see like during the game, there was some struggles for our team, really on both ends. But like he's just reading what's going on, and he kind of bides his time, and he knows where he's got to get to and what he's got to do. And when they started running around trapping him, he recognized it early and he got the ball out. Like he didn't try to dribble through the double team. He didn't try to do things that we're going to put him in a situation maybe turn the ball over. And I think that even speaks even more to his greatness is the fact that, okay, I'm on this incredible role. Instead of trying to take on two guys, it's like, okay, they get two guys on me, someone else is open. Let me find the open man. And then the ball gets kind of moved around and we find the next best option.
What's going on in your mind when he starts 106? And then what's going on in your mind when he gets on the roll?
Well, I don't really, I've said this before, like if you watch him in the beginning of the games and generally most games, and I think it's a great way for him as a scorer to approach the beginning of games, and he'll speak to it more better than I can. But, we're trying to get ball movement and player movement and things like that in the game. And he gets that into the game when he does put the ball on the floor and he creates and he gets into the paint. But the thing about him is he understands how he's being defended, what's going on. He's like always taking inventory. I think his brain's just like a computer of what's going on. But the 1 for 6 doesn't bother me at all. Like I don't never worry about that at all with him because he is an unbelievable. I think all great players, like there's some players that the game doesn't start well and it usually doesn't end well. He's a guy that can course correct. So the 1 for 6 didn't bother me at all. I knew that, inevitably, I didn't know he was going to have 40 tonight, but I mean, he's going to get to his spots and he's going to score. He's just too elite and gets to the free throw line. He gets to the rim. What's going to happen. I didn't know he was going to get 40, but when he starts off like that, shooting the basketball, I was fine. Like I thought we were fine offensively in the first half because Vooch really got it going. Like he really carried us. I think he had maybe 10 or 12 points in that first quarter, which was fine. So it just wasn't DeMar. He started 1 for 6. We got, points for some other guys, which was great.
Does Mark get enough credit for how physically strong he is? It looked like the Spurs tried to guard him with smaller guards a little bit in the fourth, and they just couldn't. Like, he just seemed to bully them during stretches. I mean, in terms of his physical strength, I'm not sure people talk enough.
Yeah, I mean, he's very, very strong. I think the one thing with him is he's got great feet. He's just got incredible offensive feet. It's very, very difficult, with him, especially in tight spaces. He's so shifty and changes direction. And then obviously his ball handling skills are, incredible. So when he gets into these tight spaces, he can really play in very, very small areas. And then to your point, he's strong too. So he can get people off him. And it's hard to get, to him physically with the way he plays. He can always kind of generate some space for himself.
You mentioned about early, starting slowly. Kobe, last couple of games before this one had started, so I had big second halves, had a good start tonight. What have you seen from him lately, and particularly also the 3-point shooting?
Yeah, no, he was great tonight. I mean, again, to Darnell's point about DeMar starting 1 for 6, Kobe got off to a good start. He ran off a few points there in that first quarter, which was great, and Vooch got going too. So like I said, that first quarter wasn't too bad. I just thought we had a hard time containing them off the dribble. But, again, you want Kobe to be aggressive. He was aggressive. He got downhill. He got open threes. I thought he gave us a really good boost to start the game.
This is not a second guess, just more explanation. Kobe starts hot, makes these first 3 shots. Then Vucevic did well, but he gets the ball every time after that. Kobe doesn't ever get the ball again. How does that work? I mean, are they not looking for Kobe, or are the plays being drawn, or what happens then?
I'm not sure I quite understand it. Like,
Kobe scores the first 3 baskets,
Mhm.
and then he don't touch the ball for the next 6 possessions or something.
Right.
So is that by design, or is that just what's happening on the court? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what you said. He got it in the flow of the game. We weren't running plays for him. He just happened to score. And, I think what ended up happening was in that first quarter, he got going, to your point. Like, I don't know how many points he ran off. Maybe it was 6 or 7 straight points, made a couple threes, had a drive to the basket. Then he had a couple plays blocks at the basket as well too, but he was really aggressive, which was good for us, and him getting downhill. But the other thing too is the ball found Vooch a lot of times, in how we were playing. So, I'm a little bit more concerned about, generating good shots more so than just like, hey, Kobe, this is your play. Go ahead and shoot. Hey, Vooch, this is your play. Go ahead and shoot. Even with DeMar, it's not like, hey, DeMar, this is your play. You try to put DeMar in pick and roll or spacing where double team comes, you want him to pass the ball. But it wasn't necessarily about running more plays for Kobe. I just don't think with the way the game was going that the ball necessarily found him like it did there in that stretch you're talking about.
You guys struggled with them down there. Tonight, obviously, the result looks like it was a lot better. But what was different in your mind between what you guys didn't do so well down there and what you did well tonight against them?
Well, we got really hammered at the 3-point line last game. They made 16 threes. The difference of the game tonight was, again, we contributed to some of it with our turnovers because I think they had 20 points off our turnovers tonight. And we turned the ball over too much, and it got them out on the break. But they didn't shoot the ball at the same rate that they did against us in San Antonio. So that was a huge factor in the game. But the turnovers kind of didn't help. So I think if you look at the discrepancy between the 3-point line, there was some difference there. I think the other part, I think we both took right around 21 free throws, for the game. I just thought we had a hard time again tonight guarding them off the dribble. We had a really hard time containing them off the dribble. I mean, I thought all their guys' ability to drive the ball, it was hard for us to contain it. I thought as the game went on, we got a little bit better, and in particular in that fourth quarter, I thought we were much better. We fouled a little bit too much in the first half. I thought when we were able to keep the ball out of the paint and get them to take some contested jump shots, that was favorable for us. When we didn't do that, it made it really, really hard for us because everything, when we started playing, to Sam's point, when Kobe kind of got on that run, we got it's early in the game. I know it's a lot of basketball play, but, we had 6-8 point lead, we're doing okay. Then all of a sudden it's layup. And then all of a sudden it's 2-point game where we're down by 2. So I thought them at the rim was something that we did not do great early, but got better as the game went on.
When you look at Vooch's game, 25 points, but also 5 assists. How much of a boon is it when DeMar is facing as much defensive attention, double teams that he's facing, to have a guy like Vooch who can drive it, shoot it, and pass it as that kind of release?
That's the whole thing right there, is when he's in pick and roll and you decide to blitz or trap, DeMar, is his trust and confidence, and not only in just Vooch, but really our team. He'll throw it to those guys. So, they run around trapping him, and Vooch is getting the ball in the middle of the floor. He's able to make a play. He can drive it. He can kick it. He can make the next play. And, I've always said this about Vooch is there's opportunities, I think, for him to go score sometimes a little bit more, but he's such a team-orientated pass-first guy that I think that, if you're a guard or a perimeter player, you love playing with him because he's so unselfish. Even when he gets the ball in the post, he's not necessarily looking to score right away. He's looking to pass. But yet, to your point, for somebody like DeMar that's getting trapped like that, to have an outlet in the middle of the floor of a big that can not only shoot, but he can drive it and pass it, that really helps get the ball to the next action, which is incredibly helpful.
Trapping DeMar. I mean, teams are starting to do that a lot more now. Are you, when you're planning for that, are you almost inviting it because he can make the right pass and you have players who can make the right play if he does make the right pass?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, Darnell, is just it's about spacing the floor correctly. We the guys did a really good job. We actually talked a little bit about it because I thought a few possessions, in the Oklahoma City game, especially late with DeMar, that we didn't space the floor correctly. See, the thing with DeMar, in my opinion, is when he's going to get trapped, or they're going to not even trap, but they're going to really maybe support with 2 players. If the floor is not spaced correctly, he can't make the next best play. And I thought we did a good job tonight, maybe more so better than we did the other night against Oklahoma, of spacing the floor where he knew exactly where his outlets were. And if we can get kind of away from each other and get the floor spaced correctly, then I think he can make some reads and there's a little bit of a longer rotations. So I wouldn't say we necessarily like inviting it, but we want to have solutions when it does happen.
You talked about defense, obviously, a lot this season. It was still like a 3-point game with about 3 minutes to go. And it seemed like at that point, you guys made 3 or 4 defensive plays. What did
I
you
agree.
see at that's close? Do anything different?
No, I mean, I thought guys negotiated screens really well. Because our defense was in front of our bench, I thought our communication was really good. We were really active with our hands. I think as the game went on, we caught up maybe to their speed a little bit. They missed some shots too. They had shots they may be making. They'd missed some, but I thought we controlled the ball. And we talked about that going into the game, that the game for us had to be at how well could we control the ball, whether it be coming down the floor in transition, whether it be pick and roll or any closeout situations. And I thought we really struggled, on closeouts in terms of they went right by us. They were constantly going by us. And you want to rotate as little as possible and as much as needed, but it's always a little better when you're rotating out of strength instead of weakness. And I thought for a good portion of the game, we were constantly rotating out of weakness and we were having to react from their pressure. I thought when we absorbed the drives a little bit more, when we had a little bit more built-in help and that guy that was driving couldn't really get to the rim and finish, and he had to make the next best pass, I thought we got pretty active with our hands.
One other quick one on DeMar. I don't know if it was you, so I apologize. But Durant had a run like this where he's like every night on ESPN, he'd got 25 or 30 again. Was that with you?
I don't know. He's done that for so many years. It probably was with a lot of coaches.
You've seen a run like this, that he's having here with 40s and 35s on every night.
The thing to me that's undervalued about the run to me is, great players, and there's so many of them, they can score by taking a truckload of shots. To me, the thing that's so impressive is the efficiency is which he's doing it. His shooting percentages are mind-boggling. And that's the thing I have such great respect for. I think he took maybe 24 shots tonight. You're scoring 40 points on 20. Look at his numbers and look at the shot attempts in relationship to the points. To me, that's like a big time, high-level scorer when a guy is getting to the free throw line and he's doing it by not taking a lot of necessarily, it's not like he's taking, he got 40 tonight, but he took 38 shots. Like, that's not efficient. I think if you go back to the stretch he had, the thing that's most impressive to me is I just cannot believe how efficient he is night in and night out, that when he gets to his spots and areas of the floor, not that he's perfect, but the shooting percentage is just, it's mind-boggling to me. That's what's so impressive. It's not necessarily the numbers of the points that's impressive. It's the efficiency at which he's scoring the points, because he's also getting his teammates involved too. And he's also generating assists, and he's also getting shots for other guys. So that's the thing that's been so impressive, is it's not like, hey, this guy's just jacking up shot after shot after shot, and he's getting points and numbers. Like, he's doing it at a high level, and he's impacting our team in a very, very positive way with his efficiency.
Over 60% in 4 of the 6 games.
No one ever talks about that. Everybody talks about the numbers. Oh, it's, so many games in a row at 30, or hey, it's 35. It's this. Like, no one's talking about the efficiency piece of it. And I don't think people really understand how hard that is to do. And to me, it speaks to his greatness in terms of his preparation, his work ethic, his routine, and what he does to get himself ready to play. That's the thing that I think is so impressive and so incredibly, because, like, listen, okay, he got 45 the other night, but he took 39 shots. If this guy's getting 40 and he's taking like in the mid 20s of shot attempts, and he could probably take more sometimes, and he's selective at the threes he takes. But like, it's just his IQ, knowing how to get to the free throw line, knowing how to get to his spots, knowing when to pass it, knowing when to generate an easy basket or shot for somebody else. That's the thing that's so impressive to me, is just the efficiency at which he plays the game.
What can you tell us about that moment at the end between you and Pop and DeMar?
Oh, it was great. Pop had a great line. He says, "Is he playing any defense?" I said, "Pop, he took a charge last game." So it was great. Yeah, it was great. I think DeMar, obviously, I've always said this about him. I think he looks back on his career and whether it was Dwayne Casey or Pop or teammates he played with, Kyle Lowry and different guys in Toronto and different guys, LaMarcus Aldridge in San Antonio. He's always tried to take something from every experience. And, clearly you could see that there's a great level of respect that DeMar has for Pop, San Antonio, and, what the experience was probably for him in terms of what he learned from the experience. He probably better to talk to, but yeah, I mean, Pop's a great guy. I talked about him in San Antonio, our relationship, and it was great to see he and DeMar, share a moment before and after the game like that. Cause, obviously you play 3 years, whatever it was at a place like that. A lot of games, and they've gotten to the playoffs and stuff. So DeMar's a great guy. And that's what Pop and I were talking about was like, what a great guy he is. He's just an incredible person, DeMar. And I'm happy for him that he can be doing what he's doing this year because he's put a lot of work into it.
Thanks, Billy.
Okay.